Hello, everyone. Welcome to the EJG3 show. This is your host, Eddie Gallagher. I am here today with Jacob Bradley. Jacob, how you doing?
Ed, I am great. What a long time coming, man. I've been a fan of the show for a while, so I'm excited to be joining you right now and talk a little bit about some football. We're right around the corner, right? Opening days in a couple weeks, so we're ready.
I believe it's about 14 days,
Oh
something like
man,
that.
yeah, it's Thursday. So yeah, at the time of recording, it's Thursday. So yeah, we're only a couple one more Thursday after today left without football until February. So we're getting there.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time.
That's right, very much so.
Hey, so you're a Browns fan,
I am.
and we're gonna be talking Browns today. So how you feeling about your Browns?
Well, Ed, I wish I could report to you feeling a little bit happier about things, but I mean, I'll tell you what. I have this conversation at work all the time. Because now people have found out I'm a Browns fan, so they come up to me and we've had the talking point of the off season a little bit. So I'm morbidly curious, I think is the best way to describe it. I don't mind some of the things that we're bringing to the table this year with the team. Um, but I mean, I'm sure we'll get into the nook and cranny of it all. But yeah, I think I'm morbidly curious. I feel like there's a pretty decent ceiling this year, and if things go right, they could be competitive. But at the same time, a lot of things have to go right. So I think as a fan of the team in the future, I'm excited, but my hopes aren't super high.
I think you should be excited about the future, but this is gonna be a long season.
Yes, I agree. 17 games might feel pretty long this year, but look, last year was such a disappointing season and to me it came really out of left field with just a lot of things not working and guys like Deshaun Watson coming on and not playing very well and Nick Chubb battling injuries. Like there was a lot of stuff last year that didn't really go their way and they finished what 3-14 last year. So it was last year was pretty brutal, so I feel like this year it can only go up. So I'm excited. I feel like we're taking a step in the right direction, and what we're on QB number 40 something to 30 something now. So I mean, eventually one's got to stick, right, Ed?
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of Deshaun Watson, it seems like the Browns are moving off him, even though they haven't released him.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been practicing.
Hmm.
Uh, I think this is a good move. He was a little toxic, and look, his play did not show at all. And
Hmm.
you know, if he was good, maybe you could tolerate it, but
Right.
he was not good anymore. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good step in the right direction.
Definitely. I mean, it's unfortunate, right, with Deshaun Watson. I mean, you look at where the team was at the time when they moved and got him. I mean, yeah, the guy was the best guy available at the time. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't believe some of his more serious allegations had surfaced at that point when the Browns made the move. But I mean, look, we're talking a team that is, like I just said, has never had a quarterback for the longest time. I mean, they looked like they had something at Baker Mayfield, but that was a relationship that really needed to part mutually for Baker to hit the steps that he's made in Tampa. I mean, it wasn't just like it was straight on to success for Baker. The guy went and had to struggle in Carolina and struggle in Los Angeles before he could land to become probably a top 10 NFL quarterback in Tampa. But I mean, I don't blame the Browns for taking a shot on Watson. Obviously the way that they then proceeded to handle it with the guaranteed money and the pretty much the hole it put them in. But as far as you look at who they like how that's really affected the team outside of wins and losses. You look at the roster, the projected 53-man roster from 4 years ago versus now, and how many different people maybe they couldn't pay, or how many people they've lost. And really, the only guy on that list is Nick Chubb, as far as a guy that they could not afford to keep. And I think if they really wanted to keep Nick Chubb, they could have. I think I don't know why he's not a Cleveland Brown this year, but I think they wanted to move on from him for whatever reason. But it's one of those things that, yeah, it's going to go down as probably one of the worst contracts ever in sports, not just the NFL, in sports, because of the lack of production that they've gotten from him. But I mean, I believe he's after this year, he's got maybe one more year left on that contract. And I mean, who knows if any of these young kids ball out at quarterback this year? I mean, that's it. That's it for Deshaun Watson. He's not coming back. next year for Cleveland. So I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame, but when you have a quarterback, you need a leader and you need somebody that's mature to step up and play. And if he was bringing other things off the table, and I do think the guy tried to work on his image, on his character, but at the end of the day, you got to play football, and Deshaun Watson wasn't playing football.
Well, speaking of quarterback, you guys just named a starter, Joe Flacco. Old Joe Flacco.
Old Joe Flacco.
He is in his 40s. How you feeling about that? Is that
Yeah.
the right move?
For now, yeah. I think right now it is. Now I don't expect Joe Flacco to be the quarterback of this team beyond maybe week 9 or 10. I feel like it's just the natural progression of things. They're in such an interesting spot, and I feel like had they, if I don't know how much Shedeur Sanders was on their draft board this year. Obviously, they wound up with him, and that's great. But I'm curious as to what went into that thought process.
I'm
Because
I'm
right,
curious. I'm curious about a lot of teams why they didn't draft him. But I thought he was a
right,
good quarterback in college. But
yeah,
yeah, go on.
yeah. No, I mean, he seemed like at the time of the draft, him and Ward were like I felt like we're pretty comfortably
1-2.
1 and 2. Yeah, like it was like okay, the Browns are picking two. You've got Ward's going to go one. That's the no brainer, and then two is most likely going to be Sanders, and then he falls to you in the fifth round. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, right? How what went into that, but so I almost wonder if maybe the plan was for just a different direction. But you've got a guy like Sanders who's already making so much noise, just because of his for lack of better, I hate to use this term, but for lack of a better term, his aura or his just his name. Like there's
Yeah,
so
the
much.
Sander name. The Sander
Yes,
name.
there's so much that goes into it. I mean, you've seen so many people tweet out about it, like LeBron James. In the sports world, Stephen A. has been very vocal about Shedeur Sanders and what his future is going to be like. You're seeing celebrities step up outside of the sports realm that have heard of Shedeur Sanders. So you've got this guy on the team that's just building this massive amount of hype. And for a fifth round pick, he's building all this massive amount of hype. So I feel like as the season goes on, Joe Flacco isn't going to be the sexy option anymore, and we're going to probably move on to Shedeur Sanders. But I mean, right now it's such a strange quarterback room. I mean, they're looking at four QBs potentially bringing on the 53-man roster, and I believe the last time that's been done in the NFL, it's been a while. But outside of like crazy circumstances, like when the Saints carry like a guy like Taysom Hill on the roster, four pure QBs on the roster, I don't believe it's been done since pre-pandemic. If I'm mistaken, I believe the Bills might be the last team to do it. Ed, you might be able to speak on that a little bit more, maybe
Uh,
back in like the Nate Peterman days or something.
oh,
But
I can't remember.
yeah, so yeah, it's
But
it's interesting. But right now I don't mind the name. I don't mind Joe Flacco being getting the week one start. He's a veteran. Believe it or not, Ed, he's not the oldest guy starting for teams in the AFC North this year. So we got that working for us.
hey,
But
you know
I don't
what?
mind it.
You know what? He did work well. A couple years ago.
Yes.
Got him to the playoffs.
Hmm.
Got the Browns to the playoffs. Struggled versus Houston, but
Right.
he was very successful in Kevin Stefanski's offense.
He definitely was. I mean, he's a general, right? I mean, there's not many guys in the NFL that have as much experience as him. He's won. I know we're talking, geez, 15 years ago now when when he won a Super Bowl in Baltimore, or however long ago it was. But I mean, yeah, the guy's won. He's a competitor, and you can tell there's still a fire in Joe Flacco, or else he would have retired 4 years ago when he was playing catch with his kids in the backyard, or whatever that story was. I mean, the guy came out, had a tremendous run with Cleveland 2 seasons ago. Do I think he's going to duplicate that? Probably not. But you know what? I mean, if you just let the guy go out there and throw the football down the field, things can happen. So I don't mind it. I'm intrigued by it. I hope he's not just out there to scapegoat for a few weeks and get knocked around until Sanders is ready. But I mean, if he's just going to get thrown out there and with really no expectation and just throw the football and see if we can make magic, then I feel like there's magic to be made then there.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking of Browns having four quarterbacks, two of them are rookies,
Hmm.
Gabriel and Sanders. What should the Browns do? Because obviously you got the aura of Sanders, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of controversy. Sanders looked really good in his first preseason game.
Hmm.
Gabriel, he was okay. I mean,
Yeah.
he led. the team to a touchdown, but he also
Right.
threw a pick six.
Hmm.
So like, what do you do? And it seems like Sanders has had better practices,
Yeah.
but Dylan Gabriel was a third round pick. Sanders was a fifth round pick.
Right.
So what do you really do? And plus, you have Kenny Pickett. I
Yeah.
mean, let's start with the rookies. What do you think their Browns should do?
So I feel like you got to keep both of them on the roster. I feel like putting like say you decide to put Gabriel on um a practice squad. I feel like Gabriel's the least ready of all of the quarterbacks in that room right now. He's I believe he's what 5'11" or 6 foot. He's left-handed. He's definitely tremendous talent. He had a great year at Oregon last year. But yeah, I think as far as a guy that's ready to take NFL snaps, Dylan Gabriel is the lowest on that list of guys on that roster. But still, like you say, Ed, he's a third round pick, and at the time that was the guy that they chose. They had Sanders on the board as well, and they said we want Dylan Gabriel. So I feel like they definitely have investment in the guy. I think maybe there's some sort of potential, but he feels like kind of the odd man out. And I feel like when that depth chart comes out, or when if Flacco goes down hurt, or if something happens, Sanders is probably the guy that they're going to call on next over Dylan Gabriel. But I do think you carry both of them on the roster. I think you let both of them get out there and see what happens. Maybe if Sanders isn't, say he gets a 5 or 6 games starting this year and he doesn't look very good. Okay, now you still have that young quarterback in Gabriel who almost is like an unproven rookie. We've seen a lot of guys like Jordan Love and Patrick Mahomes as of recent that have sat the first year and watched from the sidelines. And granted, they're playing under a little bit better quarterbacks than maybe what the Browns have right now, but at the same time, like those guys did not play, did not get snaps that first year, and were able to just kind of pop right into the starter role the next year. So I'm not saying Dylan Gabriel's that guy, but undersized lefty quarterback isn't like jumping off the page to me is like, wow, this is the future guy. It's more like, what do they see here in this guy? So I think letting him develop, letting him stay under, and maybe he gets a couple emergency snaps this year. But as far as the season goes, I wouldn't really have him taking too many snaps. I wouldn't rely on him to get any starts. I think Sanders is the guy if Flacco goes down. Yeah, I mean I just feel like Gabriel is in a weird way kind of the odd man out, but clearly the team has some sort of idea for him. So I think you wind up carrying them both, if I'm being honest. And Sanders maybe gets some more snaps. I think he's just a little bit more ready at this point.
Yeah, look. By the way, Dylan Gabriel's 5'11".
5'11".
Uh, but yeah, no, I think both of them are going to be on the team.
Yeah,
Uh, the question is who's going to be the backup to Joe Flacco, and I think it's really important who shows out in this final preseason game
yeah.
against the Rams. But if I had to put money on it, of like if Joe Flacco gets benched, who would I want them to play is Sanders. Not
Mm,
just because I think he's a better quarterback, it's because he sells tickets.
yeah.
I think he would get more eyeballs, and I think the media, everything's money,
Mm,
attention. But I just think you go with the better player.
yeah.
In my opinion.
I
But
agree, Ed. I mean, that's a good point that you brought up, the selling tickets. I mean, our mutual friend Ryan Joyce and I have gone to we've been to that stadium. We've been to Cleveland Browns Stadium. We went a couple years ago, and he made a comment to me. And it wasn't like it was Browns 49ers. This is 2023. He made a comment to me. We were sat pretty high up in the nosebleeds, right on the shores of Lake Erie with the wind whipping at the back of our heads. And he said, "Man, there's been people that have sat in this chair and watched insert quarterback here." And his whole point was, wow, there's been a lot of crap that's played on this Browns team that people still show up and watch. And I look at him, I say, Joyce, we are sat in these chairs right now watching PJ Walker play as quarterback for the Browns. So I mean, yes, you bring up a great point that yeah, Sanders is a guy. I mean, you see it in the preseason. There's people he hasn't even taken a snap at the Browns yet, and there's people in the crowd with Shedeur Sanders jerseys on. Especially now as the Browns maybe look to explore options for a bigger stadium outside of the city of Cleveland. Those are tickets you got to sell. I mean, there's a lot to love about a town like Cleveland, but it's not this popular tourist destination that Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Florida, like these Dallas, these places that have these massive, humongous stadiums. That's not Cleveland. That's people aren't going to be going to Cleveland, especially not for a team that's been pretty bad both of for the entirety of our lives. So throwing a guy like Sanders out there and kind of saying, "Hey, you're the face of the franchise, buddy," even though you're not yet. This is the face that we want potentially moving into a new stadium. I mean, yeah, I think Sanders is definitely the type of guy where if he balls out, great, now we got our guy. But if he doesn't, it's kind of like a Johnny Manziel situation where it's like, well, what are we gonna do? We tried. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you guys do have two first round picks, so
Yes.
I think I think you do want to see both of them play though in the regular season.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
just as because sometimes they're just game players, not practice players. You
Yeah.
know.
That's very true. Yeah, you want to get these guys. The best way to develop is to throw them into the game and let them develop in the game. So I can see both of them getting some snaps, but I do think even though this weekend I believe the rotation is supposed to be Flacco, then Gabriel, then Sanders. I believe is what I read. So I don't know if that'll necessarily reflect, but yeah, I mean I'm curious. I'm curious to see who gets snaps this year. I mean, there's a lot of football to play, especially with the extra 17 game. I know we're a couple seasons into that rule, but a lot of football to play. So I could see them both getting some good snaps, but I do think Sanders probably gets the more significant touches this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, let's go to your defense. Myles Garrett, he signed a 4-year deal, worth 160 million.
Yeah,
But it's funny because he requested a trade after the 2024 season,
yeah,
and we all thought he was going elsewhere.
hmm
But maybe it was just a power play to, get that little cha-ching.
right.
But what do you make of that deal?
So I mean, Miles Garrett, I think by the time he retires, is definitely going to go down as probably a top five Cleveland Brown ever. I think he's got a potential to be, he's a Hall of Famer in my opinion, no doubt. He's got multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. Um, Especially as you try to rebuild this defensive line that for pretty much his entire career, it's been just Miles Garrett. The whole time it's been, who else can we get? We got the offensive line's double team Miles Garrett. That should, in theory, bring a hole to the other side. So who's going to fill that hole? And they really haven't found that guy yet. I kind of thought once that announcement came out that he wanted out, I was like, well, there goes that. It was fun while it lasted. Sorry we couldn't win anything here. But yeah, I mean, the guy's humongous. Anytime I see him on social media, he's always got his shirt off at every press conference he's ever at. The guy's massive. But yeah, he's I mean, yeah, when you have a guy like that, a guy that has been, that was your first overall pick and a team that historically does not do well drafting teams, you finally get a stud to draft a perennial Hall of Famer, and he's every bit as talented as you expect him to be. You can't lose that guy. You can't justify an offseason losing Nick Chubb and Miles Garrett. So I'm okay with them throwing the bag at him and just saying, listen, here's a blank check, write what you want to stay. And I do kind of question his I want to win championships, and I'm not going to do that here in Cleveland. And then deciding to stay, that you can lose trust in a fan base that way. But I do think Miles Garrett is just such a universally, as far as in Cleveland goes, a universally popular guy. Everybody loves Miles Garrett, and yeah, you can't lose a guy like that. So I'm happy he's back. I really am.
Yeah, he's one of the top two pass rushers in the league. You could either say him or TJ Watt. They're both really, really good, and
Yes,
they both got the bag this year
yes. No, they both deserve it.
after requesting a trade.
Yeah,
It's it, it's funny.
it
Uh,
is
but
funny.
but look, the Browns they do have a good defense. They got Garrett. They also have Denzel Ward.
Hmm.
Um, they just got good players, and
Yeah.
they've always had a good defense.
Hmm.
But it's just been the quarterback that was their missing piece.
Yes.
Even their skill positions like Jared Judy, David Njoku,
Hmm.
like they got weapons. I mean, they just need that guy.
Yeah. No, and that's why how I said at the beginning, like their ceiling is an interesting one because, yeah, they do have guys, and they've had guys in Miles Garrett's entire career. They've had weapons, they've had dudes. I mean, David Njoku got drafted the same year as Miles Garrett. Jerry Judy's this is his second year with the Browns. Denzel Ward was the same year that Baker Mayfield got picked. And then the rest of that defense is all the last year, a couple years. So the biggest problem, Ed, with the defense is staying healthy. Denzel Ward has had a ton of injuries in the past. I believe he just I don't know if this was today or yesterday. He had a little injury in practice. I guess everything's all right. I think it was like a little oblique or shoulder or something happened, but he's going to be all right. I don't think he's going to play this weekend, but he'll be good for the start of the season. But I mean, Denzel Ward's a guy that you look at and you're like, wow, look at this guy. He's tremendous. Why is he not talked about more? And it's because I don't know when the last time he's played 16, 17 games in a season are. Martin Emerson is a cornerback that they have. I believe he's out the entire year. I think he tore his Achilles. He's been around for a few years now. So you lose him already. But you've got other guys on the defense like Greg Newsome, Ronnie Hickman, Grant Delpit, that are very good. They hold up against anybody in the league. It's just a matter if they can stay healthy. And I feel like when we get deeper into the season, sometimes these guys they're in and out of games. They're not playing all the time. And then you throw backups in there, and that's where the problems start because they're confused because the routes that they're running they intertwine, and then all of a sudden, when you've got receivers in that division like now DK Metcalf and oh my God, Jamar Chase and like and I mean these are weapons. These are guys you
T.
can't really leave
Higgins.
open. T Higgins exactly like that Bengals team has so many different targets that they could throw to, and you know that those are the games where you need your studs out there. And I feel like the last few years sometimes these guys haven't been healthy. They've been injured during these critical games, and it's not their fault. It's just we got to keep them healthy somehow, especially with the 17 game season. So if the defense can stay healthy, yeah, the ceiling's crazy, but I just haven't seen that in the last pretty much like decade of this team.
Yeah, yeah. When you're on the field as a defense too much, you're going to get banged up.
Right.
You did so many hits.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about your coach, Kevin Stefanski. Look, I think he's actually a pretty good coach,
Okay.
and I know there's been some down years. That's because I think number one, ownership got in the way,
Hmm.
and obviously the Deshaun Watson, it didn't plan out.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna ask this question because it is the Browns. Will they fire him if the season goes sideways?
Yeah, I think after last year, I think we're getting I think he's on the hot seat, like right off the bat. I know he's the two-time defensive coach of the year and or not just coach of the year, not defensive coach, just straight up coach of the year. So I mean, you got a guy that has done more as a coach for the Browns in my life probably I don't know many guys that have been too better than him, but yeah I mean it's such an interesting one, right? And me and my dad will conspirize and theorize about the inner workings of this Deshaun Watson project and just how different the team looks. I mean that the year Joe Flacco played with them the first year it was such an interesting one. That was I believe the last time Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year of 2023-2024 season. It's such an interesting bit because he like with when Watson was out there, it was so interesting to watch the play calling, what he was doing, and it's short. He's running out of the pocket. It feels like we've seen so many different styles of coaching, and the one time for me in the now probably 5 years that he's been the coach, 6 years or however many seasons it's been. The one time it clicked for me was when Flacco played for them 2 years ago. It just felt like something was different. You mentioned the weapons, and it feels like David Njoku's just always been kind of like a concealed carry, like never used, but like there, and he's a guy that should have multiple, 1,000 yard receiving seasons, multiple seasons with, 60, 70, 80 balls caught. And he doesn't. He has like 2 seasons of that. And it's like how do you have this guy who is always, one of the top guys in football when it comes to tight ends? How is he not hit the levels of the likes I'm not talking like Travis Kelce or George Kittle like the elite, but how's he not at least in that next class of guys? How are you not utilizing this guy more? Amari Cooper, Odell Beckham Jr., like these guys that they've had, these receivers under, Coach Stefanski. It's like, how are we not? What's happening here? Why is this not working? Like, is it the quarterback? Like, we had the questions with Mayfield. It's like, okay, Mayfield's out. Now we've got Watson in, and the play calling got worse somehow. And I don't know. We could spearize about, oh, is this just a way to kind of like, show off the worst of Deshaun Watson? Like, are they purposefully doing this? But that's just a complete Browns fan conspiracy. Like we're just batting things back and forth when they're down 17 in the fourth quarter. But but I don't know. I think we're running low on the Kevin Stefanski train. I think if something happens at the start of the year where say they start off slow. I mean it's a tough schedule they've got at it. I don't know if you've looked at it at all, but I mean right off the bat you're playing all three interdivision teams. You're playing Green Bay and then you're playing Detroit. I mean those are that you could easily go 0-5 there. easily. And I think if they start off anything less than 2-3, I think there's going to be some serious talks about Kevin Stefanski finishing the season out with the Browns, especially with a couple young quarterbacks in there. You know, we saw when Mayfield took over, it was Hugh Jackson, I believe, was the head coach at the time. And I think maybe he lasted one game with Baker Mayfield, and they said, "Okay, we've got our new guy. Hugh Jackson isn't going to work as the quarterback or as the head coach. We got to get our coach for our quarterback." Granted, they had three more coaches during Baker Mayfield's run, but I mean, you've got a couple new quarterbacks in there. You might want to give them a new head coach too. So, I think if they start off slow, I think Stefanski's gone.
I don't think he should be gone,
Okay.
but because I think, give him one more year. After the season. But
Yeah.
let's go back to the schedule thing.
Sure. Sure.
Obviously, you got your division games, but you have the Packers, you got Minnesota, you got the Lions. Uh, the Patriots could be good with Drake May.
Hmm.
Um, we'll see what the 49ers do. You know, can Brock Purdy deliver?
Yeah.
And obviously, you got the Bills. Late in the year. Uh, yeah. Look, that is a tough schedule.
Yeah.
Uh, And look, I don't think Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, or Shadur Sanders is going to win enough games. But
Mm.
who knows? I mean, I could
Yeah.
be wrong. I mean, I could be wrong. But yeah, no, I would just give him one more year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is a tough schedule, and this is a guy that has shown he's won before, and it's one of those situations where is the grass really greener on the other side? Like is a guy that you're going to bring in going to be a potential to win a two-time Coach of the Year? I mean, there's a potential losing a guy like Kevin Stefanski could lead to another seriously dark era in the Cleveland Browns history of their franchise. I mean, you look at what they were 10 years ago before Kevin Stefanski really got his hands on things. I mean, that's all-time historically bad football that was played 10 years ago. So I mean, you don't want to slip into another one of those eras just because this guy isn't your guy anymore. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see what they do with him, but I feel like, I think I'd try to keep him for as long as you can this year. But eventually, with all the eyes that are going to be on Shedeur Sanders, if the coaching isn't up there, I feel like people are going to be calling for his head very quickly in Cleveland.
Yeah, no, who knows? It is a stubborn ownership.
Yes.
Okay, so the Browns have two first round picks next year.
Hmm.
The whole talk, I felt this training camp was tank for Arch Manning.
Okay.
And I don't, yeah, you've probably been hearing all that stuff. Here's my take. I get it, all the hype for Arch Manning, but my gosh, he hasn't played college football.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson did not play that much. Now, do I think Arch Manning is better than Anthony Richardson? Yes, obviously. I think the Manning family do things well, you know.
Hmm.
But can we just let Arch Manning play? We project him being the number one pick. Let's stop. Let him play. We
Yeah.
don't know what he is right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a talker. I'm curious about it. I think this upcoming quarterback class that we'll see in the draft is significantly better than this past year's. I feel like that's not a controversial take. You've got Arch Manning, but you also have guys like
Lenore
Garrett.
Sellers.
Right. Yeah, you've got I'm sorry, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU that might pop his name in the draft. You got Kay Klubnik, you got Carson Beck. Like there's a lot of guys that are looking pretty good coming into this year. That could hop in the draft. So I mean, it might not be the Arch Manning show come next year. But I mean, this whole like tank for a quarterback, tank for the next guy, tank for this. There comes a point, Ed. I mean, we've all seen that picture of um of the guy in the Browns jersey, and it's the Tim Couch jersey, and it's got all the papers, and it has every other quarterback they've ever had. And it goes all the way to the floor. That picture gets shared all the time. I mean, there's like it comes a point where it's like, okay, how many times we gotta open the door and cycle? Like, what's like if you're telling these two young kids who you just drafted, hey, we're gonna tank until so that we can get a better version of you next year. I mean, what is that sharing for the locker room? I mean, this is a very crucial year for the Browns. There's still talent on this team. Like this isn't like the Titans where it's like, okay, it's the Cam Ward show and that's it. or the Jaguars, where okay, we got maybe 1 year left of Trevor Lawrence, and then it's the Travis Hunter show, and that's it. Like this is still a team that that there is stakes on. This is still a team with a lot of talent. So I just think telling the guy like if you're going out there and you're purposely putting out a bad product just in hopes of getting a guy that like you say has never got hasn't really played too much college football. I mean, what are you sharing here? What are you telling the fan base? What are you telling the players? What are you telling anybody? I mean, it would just be such a bad look. I mean, granted, things can happen. I mean, they could you say it's a tough schedule. They could win 3 games again this year, and okay, Arch Manning just kind of falls in your lap. But I mean, to kind of have this mindset of oh well, we're not going to win this year. It's like well, you got a long season ahead of you there, pal. Like you can't really just go right now and say, well, we want a new quarterback. Well, you got 5 of them on the roster now. Like pick one, like let's see what these guys have, what you have now on the roster. Let's
Y-
not wait until next year.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just saying, slow down on the Arch Manning hype.
I agree.
Everyone,
Yeah.
everyone, just slow down. Let's see it. Let's just see what he does.
Yeah.
Texas has a stacked roster.
Mhm.
These wide receivers are going to be wide open. All right,
Yeah.
Steve Sarkisian's going to make guys wide open. All right, that's just not how the NFL works.
Right.
Now, do I think Arch Manning? I think he definitely got the best help because
Yeah.
Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, they're
Right.
Hall of Famers. They won Super Bowls. Obviously, they know what they're doing,
Yeah.
and they probably gave them the best advice as possible. But let's just slow down. Let's just watch what he does this year. But yeah, no. And look, I get the Mannings are very close with the Browns owners,
Mm.
but let's just let's just slow down.
Yeah. Let's see what we got. Let's let it play out, Ed. Let's let it play out. Let's see
All
what
right,
Manning's
like
got.
I
Let's see
want to
what
see
we
what he
got.
does against Ohio State.
Right. Yeah, you
TSU.
need the big dogs to play. You need him to play against the big dogs. Let's see what happens. I mean, he's got a lot of upside for sure, but I mean, let's watch him play football here. Let's see what we got.
You know what? But you know what? They always say let's tank for Tua.
Yeah.
How's Tua right now? Oh, let's tank for Trevor Lawrence. Uh, how's Trevor Lawrence right now? Sorry, Jets. But seriously, no. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, you have to be in the right situation to succeed as quarterback. I think we all know that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think taking for guys is stupid. This is not the NBA.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one guy can't really change a franchise in football. And the Browns, I think, at this point are in need of more pieces than just a quarterback. So yeah, tanking for one guy to me just isn't the move. If you have 2 first-round picks, let's see what you got out of these guys this year. Let's see what you got out of Sanders. Let's see what you got out of Gabriel. And if you show any sort of signs, let's build up. Let's use those 2 picks and let's get better next year. Let's not reset and pick another quarterback and now we're stuck again.
Yeah, look, yeah. I mean, if you have something with Sanders or Gabriel, obviously you don't pick a quarterback. But
Yeah.
if they don't work out, you have that option to draft a
Right.
quarterback. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'm very interested in the Browns. I don't care if they go 1-16, 2-15, 3-14. When Sanders play or Dylan Gabriel plays, I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
because because it's obviously an awesome quarterback class next year, but I want to see if these two can actually play quarterback in the
Yeah.
NFL.
I agree. I'm excited. I mean, it's there. It might be a stress-filled Sundays, but you know what? I'm glad there's some excitement around the team for a team that just is coming off a 3-win year. So I'm just like you, Ed. I'm gonna be strapped in watching and seeing what's going on. So
Now, obviously, a lot of people project the Browns to be bad in the AFC. Do you have any other teams that might be bad as well?
just around football,
In the AFC.
on the AFC specifically. Um, I mean, yeah, I think the AFC is pretty strong this year. I mean, you look out. I think there's a lot of wild cards like the Raiders. I'm curious to see what they do. A guy like Ashton Genty. Sometimes a running back's what you need. They got a new quarterback, Geno Smith. I mean, I could see that going either way. I could see them either being really good or really bad. But I mean, these divisions are pretty stacked. I mean, the AFC East is to me probably it's one of the weaker ones outside of the Bills. Ed, you don't have to give me that face. Outside of
No,
the
no, no,
Bills,
no. I
Bills are
agree.
gonna be
I
fine.
wanted to know where you were going with that.
Yeah, Bills are gonna be fine. I feel like the rest of those teams though. I mean, that's a toss up. The Patriots could win, could be a playoff team, and they could also win 3 games.
I,
Same thing
I,
with the Dolphins. Same thing with the Jets.
I
So
think a team that's going to be really bad is Miami. They have not looked good in training camp.
Yeah,
Uh, they're not physical. Well, I've seen games where they're not physical,
yeah,
but the Jets, I think they're gonna be really bad this year.
yeah. I don't see it.
I think they're gonna be bad.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see the Justin Fields move. I don't
I
know.
don't
I'm
I
not.
don't
I'm not
I don't
feeling
think
it.
he can play quarterback.
No, I'm not. I'm not really feeling it with the Jets. I get it. Like, I'm sure. I'm sure our old buddy Boy Green's all fired up about it. But I'm not. I don't
I mean,
see it this year with the
Did you see him
Jets.
against the Giants? I
Yeah,
mean, you can't throw a pass. He went 1 for 5.
yeah. Ed though, big talk. I mean, that Bills back score a couple weeks ago was pretty ugly.
It's preseason. It's preseason.
That's preseason.
We.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? Look, I mean, does preseason matter? No, but it's something.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
It's a
I mean,
preview. Yeah.
so yeah, no, you don't want to get blown out by 38 points.
Right.
Uh,
They'll be fine. They'll be just fine. It's I'm not.
yeah,
I'm not. If I was a Bills fan, I'm not worried about that box score. You'll be good.
yeah, no, but yeah, no, I, I I think the Browns will be drafting pretty high. Sorry, spoilers. I apologize, but I think the Jets will be drafting high because Justin Fields is not the future for the Jets.
Yeah.
Uh, I think Miami. I think they will move off their head coach, McDaniels.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I just don't see it for
Yeah.
those three teams.
I didn't. Yeah, the bottom of the league, I don't think got too much better this year. As far as who was drafting high last year, I feel like it's very similar. It's going to look very similar this upcoming year. Like I don't think too many teams that were bottom feeding got that much better. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still a very top heavy league at the moment, and the AFC is a strong division or a strong conference, but I don't really see teams that like maybe like oh they made a jump this year. I don't think they made too much of a jump to make that big of an impact against teams like the Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bengals. Like I don't think it's too
Well,
big
I
of a
mean, we're
jump.
going to see about the Bengals real quick. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
their defense looks sketchy.
It
Uh,
does, but I mean that offense, it's hard to match up with anything in the league. So I
yeah,
mean,
but
if they could score more points, then
yeah. No,
you
I
never
know.
know. Yeah,
I think Joe Burrow's terrific. But
yeah,
I feel like the Bengals are wasting his career
I
just
agree.
out of
I agree.
cheapness.
Yeah.
But hey, I just want to say thank you for coming on, and it's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Ed. This has been great. This has been a lot of fun.
And anything you want to say to your Browns?
Good luck. Buy a pacemaker. Should be a fun year.
Exactly. All right, man. Take care.
Thank you, Eddie.
See you later.